sight, foresight, more sight. The clock on the wall reads midnight.
Feel very strongly that it's not enough to just live in the world as it is, to just kind of take what you're given and, follow the things that adults told you to do and that, your parents told you to do and that society tells you to do. I think you should always be questioning. I take this very scientific attitude that everything you've learned is just provisional, that, it's always open to recantation or refutation or questioning. And I think the same applies to society. And I, felt growing up, I slowly had this process of realizing that all the things around me that people had told me were just the natural way things were, the way things always would be. They weren't natural at all. They were things that could be changed, and they were things that, more importantly, were wrong and should change. And once I realized that, there was really kind of no going back. I couldn't fool myself into saying, oh, I'm just going to go work for a business and ignore all that. Once I realized that there were real serious problems, fundamental problems, that I could do something to address, I didn't see a way to forget that. I didn't see a way not to. I'd always been wanting to get active, even when I was in school. I was very frustrated with school. I thought, the teachers didn't know what they were talking about, and they were very domineering and controlling, and the homework was kind of a sham, and it was just all the way to pen students together and force them to do busy work. And, I started reading books about, the history of education and how this educational system was developed, and, alternatives to it in ways that people could actually learn things as opposed to just regurgitating facts their teachers told them. And that kind of led me down this path of questioning things. Once I questioned the school I was in, I questioned the society that built the school, I questioned the businesses that the schools were training people for, and I questioned the government that, set up this whole structure. Well, like I say, I got interested in educational stuff, but I don't think I really got involved in a political campaign. I spent a lot of time after that, wondering what it is that I could really affect. I did a lot of writing and a lot of reading, but a lot of the stuff I read about social change, seemed to come from this model. In the revolutions in the 60s, people thought, oh, if we just get enough people together, who are angry, then all of a sudden, magically, this revolution will happen and we'll take over the country. And, it just didn't make sense to me. I think it, now having more background and more context, I think it came out of this experience of watching the Soviet Union, where because the Soviet Union was so underdeveloped and there weren't very many political structures in place, it was true that a small group of people getting a bunch of people angry could kind of take over the whole country. And I just don't think that can happen in developed countries like the US or Ireland. So I began wondering, what is it that you can do in developed countries? Everything seems so ineffective and so powerless. And it wasn't until just recently that I started thinking, okay, the internet provides this opportunity now to raise money to get candidates elected. It used to be there was just no way for a small group of people to go up against the power of big money. But one of the things we've seen at PCCC is that, there's just a couple of us who work there. And in the past year, using nothing but basically computers and, our own apartments, we've gotten 300,000 people to join our list and raised $1.25 million. I mean, that's just, 3 people were able to make a huge difference like that. And that, I think, means the internet really provides this chance where we can start taking on big corporations. Yeah, I think the most important thing is to realize that you can accomplish something. I know sometimes you just feel powerless, that you're one small person in this world of big corporations and big evil people and big media companies and so on. There's just nothing you can do. But the fact is, a lot of the reason it seems like that is because people feel powerless. People are afraid to do anything. For a long time I watched the news and all I saw was this stuff, this corporate propaganda and this kind of anti-activism attacks, and I thought, the news media was just inevitably biased against us, that there was just no hope, that the only solution was to create alternative news streams. Now, at the P-Trip, I found it's not that the news media is inevitably biased against us, it's that, reporters like all of us are just kind of lazy. They report the stories that people give them, and there are huge companies that are willing to write up stories for them and hand them to them on a silver platter, so all they have to do is type them up. Of course they're going to do that. And it turned out when we did the same thing, when we started writing press releases and we started going to reporters and pitching them stories, they were just as happy to write about us as they were about Coca-Cola. And so, because I had believed so long that change was impossible, it precluded me from taking any actions that could have caused that change. And so I think the first step for everyone out there is just to believe that you can accomplish something. Believe that you can accomplish something. Believe that you can accomplish something.